Tucker Carlson just confronted JD Vance over Benjamin Netanyahu's attempt to claim Charlie Kirk's legacy. Stick around to the end of this video because the most shocking part isn't what Kirk did in life, it's how his legacy is being manipulated right now. Take a look.
That was the question. If you were good faith, you're on his team.
That is exactly right. And good faith is the measure. And I have to say, I think now is exactly the wrong time to appropriate the memory of someone and the emotion that comes with that, the really intense emotion that all of us feel at his murder, and use it for your own parochial ends. Like, he stood for this, and I think the reason that Charlie was able to bridge the gap, particularly in foreign policy, is because he had, for example, genuine affection for Israel, which he expressed to me in private many, many times. Like, I love Israel. I don't think we should have another forever war, regime change war against Iran. And I think that made complete sense to me. I sort of agree with that, actually. And so it allowed both sides to talk to him because they felt like this person doesn't hate me. It doesn't need to get existential. It's not about disliking me or some weird bigotry. But I don't think it's helpful for people to jump in, particularly foreign heads of state, to say, this is what, he lived for my cause or whatever. That's disgusting, actually. Don't do that. That turns everybody off. You don't help your own cause by doing that. And it's also literally untrue. So I just hope that we can continue in, I'm not exaggerating, the spirit that he operated in, which is one of love for other people, including people we disagree with, and don't make it, as small bore as that. That doesn't help.
Yeah, so one of the issues, Tucker, and I agree with you, that he would express disagreements with the administration on. There are two that jump out. Is one, Charlie was a hardliner on immigration. He wanted us to control our borders as much as possible. Yes. He wanted us to ramp up the deportations. I remember having conversations with Charlie where he would say, why aren't the deportations higher? Why aren't you doing more? And I would talk to him. But it wasn't, hey, I don't understand this or I disagree with you and therefore I'm going to blast you and assume that you're in bad faith. It's, I'm a free citizen. I love you guys. I supported you guys. And I'm going to use my platform to try to accomplish as much good as I possibly can. And I think that made him such an effective operator. And I would talk to Charlie. I'd say, Charlie, well, look, here are the reasons why. And as you've seen, Tucker, we've ramped up deportation numbers. We have actually, there are a lot of people who are self-deporting because they don't want to be in the country knowing that eventually immigration enforcement will happen. But I think part of that success comes from people like Charlie applying pressure. Pressure as a friend, pressure as somebody who cares deeply about the issue. And that's true also, I know we have about 90 seconds left, but that's true about foreign policy. Like, I remember Charlie calling me and saying, I'm really worried. And this is back in the summer when the Iran strikes were sort of first being contemplated. He said, I'm really worried this is going to become another regime change war in the Middle East that we get trapped in. And I said, Charlie, first of all, have some faith here. The President of the United States is not a believer in perpetual war. He knows the mistakes of Iraq and Afghanistan. He doesn't want to repeat them. But Charlie was very clear that he could support Israel. And by the way, he did eventually support the strikes on the nuclear facility while simultaneously saying, no more. This can't become a bigger thing. This can't become a broader thing. And again, I think he modeled a really good way of applying pressure, of disagreeing when you do disagree, but also recognizing that so long as you're operating in good faith, we're all part of the team. And that's something I'm going to try to take from Charlie's legacy is not that we're always right, not that we can't take criticism, but that we all should try to work together.
It did worry me because I think your description is perfect. He was one of the very few who took that message and stood by it. I mean, right to the very end. This cannot get bigger. We don't want another regime change war. But man, some of the people who send money to Turning Point, his donors, were very tough on him. So tough on him that I could feel it. I talked to him a lot in the last few months, and he was under enormous pressure. He never bent. He never became bitter.
He kept his integrity to the very end.
To the very end. And I just think it's important to say that because it's true.
Absolutely.
So Tucker Carlson confronted JD Vance head on. His target, Netanyahu. Why? For trying to wrap himself in Charlie Kirk's legacy after his assassination. Carlson's words were blunt. It's disgusting. But this isn't just about one politician claiming credit. It goes deeper. Charlie Kirk was openly supportive of Israel, but he was also against endless wars. He warned conservatives about being dragged into regime change disasters. Behind the scenes, he was under pressure, heavy pressure, and the source of that pressure might surprise you. Multiple reports say Kirk turned down major donor money. Why? Because those funds came with strings, pro-Israel demands. Think about that. Rejecting millions because it conflicted with his principles. That's rare in politics. Now, his death looks even more suspicious to some. And here's where the movement itself starts splitting apart. Why does this matter so much? Because if Kirk could be pressured, anyone can. Because the conservative movement is at a crossroads. Do they follow the donor class or the grassroots that Kirk built? The fight over his legacy isn't just symbolic. It's about the future of the movement itself. And here's the wildest part. The louder conservatives demand answers, the more aggressively outside forces try to shape the narrative. Tucker Carlson calling out Netanyahu isn't just a headline, it's a warning shot. The question isn't just who killed Charlie Kirk. The real question is who gets to own his legacy. What do you think? Was Charlie Kirk's death just a tragic event? Or is there more happening behind the curtain? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading every comment.